Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of The Human Side of Marketing. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with your host, Kurt Stockwell. Hello, Kurt.
Hey, Chris. Merry Christmas.
Ding, ding. Merry Christmas. We're talking about, by the way, you smell like Santa.
Oh, do I?
You don't
what
smell
does
like,
Santa smell like?
you don't smell like beef and cheese.
Oh,
That's my
you don't
elf
smell like
reference.
Santa. You smell like beef and cheese.
Yeah. I was like, I couldn't say you smelled like beef and cheese. So I had to say you smell like
Elf.
Santa.
Yeah, Elf. I mean, that's a classic around our house. Our
It's
kids
our
love
favorite.
watching it. Yeah.
That's
When
our
we're in the van and the kids want to watch, a movie during Christmas, we watch Elf in the vans because the audio, you can listen to it, just crack up while the kids are watching it.
Nice. I love it. All right, man. Well, today we're picking up last time we talked about marketing goals for 2019. Yeah. Today we're talking about personal goals and how to achieve them, which I think is the missing ingredient for a lot of times in our goal setting. So walk me through this, Kurt. How do we do it?
Yep. So we're setting personal goals using the power of story. Last month, I went to a weekend retreat, kind of like it started on the weekend, actually ended on a Tuesday. So a week retreat. I don't know what you'd call that, but, it was all about goal setting. And we talked about setting goals through the power of story. And I wanted to share that with all of my humans out there listening to the human side of marketing.
I love it. Fascinating. Yeah. Explain this to me, because I don't understand goal setting in the context of story. So
okay, let's do it. So first off, why set goals, right? And I think we would all agree that if we're not growing, we're dying. If you're not challenging yourself to be better, you're just becoming status quo. And anybody listening to this podcast and listening to podcasts or reading books about how to be better, I think the tribe of people who are with us on every basis, on a episode to episode basis. Sorry, my mouth broke there for a second. On an episode to episode basis are the types of people who want to challenge themselves and grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think this is great stuff for our tribe, Chris. There's lots of personal reasons to set goals, of course, and we're going to get into those. But I think in the headspace of being a marketer or being somebody who sells a product, if we're not personally pushing ourselves to be better, I think we forget the struggle. The struggle of how hard it is. It's hard to change. It's hard to push ourselves to be better. And when we are asking our customers to buy a product or engage with a product or implement a product in their life, we're asking our customers to change and go on a journey. And the best way to do that is with clarity and empathy and just listening. And if we're not challenging ourselves personally to change, when we're asking our customers to change, we won't have the right kind of empathy.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So I think for me, that's one of the biggest reasons that I always want to stay sharp in the sense of personally changing, because I want to know and recognize what I'm asking my customers to do as well.
Got it.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the heart of goals, the heart of change, the heart of evolving or expanding into more of our best version of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do we use story?
So this journey, right, that we're going on, right? We've talked about the power of story many times in our podcast.
Yeah.
And the power of story is so great and makes so much sense to us as humans because we've been using the power of story for generations and generations. You hear me say it all the time. Before the written word, there was the power of story. And when we open and close story loops in our marketing, that creates great marketing messaging. But I think in our minds, in our goals, for our personal goals, we can open story loops that our brain's going to just naturally want to close. So the biggest struggles that we have when it comes to setting goals is we many times set them but don't hit them, or we set unrealistic goals, or we are not constantly reminding ourselves of the goals that we're setting.
Right.
So this is goal setting time, right? We're in the Christmas season. We're thinking about setting our goals. So let's set some realistic goals. And this actually is going to be kind of a quick podcast. This could be a really, really long podcast, but we're going to keep it simple and short because you probably want to get back to your families. Even though I know that Chris and I are so engaging, right?
And we are.
Yeah, that's right. You want to get back to your family. So we're going to keep this simple. So the power of telling story to hit your goals, like I said, is opening a story loop in your mind. There's this thing in your brain called cognitive dissonance. And it is what your brain naturally does to wanting the desire to close a story loop.
Right.
Okay. So there's a couple things going on with you as an individual when it comes to setting goals. You have your self-image that you have to be battling against.
Right.
Any goal that we set, there's always that self-image that creeps in that says, I can't do this, right? Or I'm not that type of person. I want to be a better husband, but I have such a temper. I can never keep it calm when it comes to dealing with the kids. Or I want to lose weight, but I'm just lazy. Right. And I can't not avoid sweets. Or I want to be, I'm setting some goals maybe for my business, but I'm so stupid when it comes to money. We've got this self-image that we tell ourselves constantly. So what we need to do first is set an aspirational image, like the person that we aspire to be. So that's kind of the opening to this story is, who do I desire to be? And in that, then we're going to set some really simple, define some really simple, repeatable actions that we can do on a consistent basis to become that person. So that self-image versus the aspirational image of who we are, that's the war. That's the war that we're in the whole time we're trying to accomplish goals.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
So the idea of the plan is to create a story for your goal this year, and just pick a couple. And once you hit that, if you accomplish that goal, then make another goal. So we're opening a story in our mind, and we're going to create a story this year for ourselves related to that goal, to that goal. So for me, if I wanted to personally, if I wanted to, let's say I wanted to lose weight, right? Which I need to lose some weight.
Okay.
Let's be real here. Okay.
Okay.
So what I want to do is I want to create the story of what that looks like when I have lost that weight. So this story at the end is I'm creating this narrative of this climactic scene at the end of when I've accomplished my goal. Yeah. So the climactic scene for me might be a certain weight, a certain size of pants, or a certain size of shirt or suit coat or jacket or whatever. It might be running a half marathon. It might be I'm the type of person that makes the good food choices. And so I'm actually going to create a story, a very specific climactic scene of who I am at that moment. And so this is not who you are at the time, but who I want to be at that moment. So when I've accomplished this goal, so the climactic scene for me is I've just finished a half marathon, and I'm totally worn out and tired, but my body feels great because I've done the work to lose weight and to become more healthy. Yeah. And I make great food choices consistently, but give myself the ability to cheat when it's okay. Right. So right now, that's not me. I could not run a half marathon right now, in full disclosure. Yeah. I would collapse and die. But if I want to tell myself that story, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down this climactic scene and I'm going to post it up on my mirror. Yeah. And this climactic scene, and it's going to be simple, just a few lines of that story. And I'm going to read that every single day. And then I need to have a consistent behavior. I need to have 2 consistent behaviors to accomplish that goal. Yep. 1, eat right, eat better, and 2, exercise. Now the exercise, those goals you can be very specific in those goals, but those 2 simple things are what I'm going to do consistently to accomplish that final climactic scene. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what it makes me think of is a lot of times when I read books that inspire me, usually I'm connecting dots here as you're saying it. So as I read books that inspire me to want to change something in my life, I think what happens is I see somebody else doing something. I'm like, I really want to do that. And what sort of just happened was there was this another version I just saw of myself in reading it. I didn't actually go to the extent or the intention that you're speaking of, where I actually wrote out a climactic scene and made it about me. But I think that's what sparks our soul, is we go, I know I have that potential and I just got excited about it. And so then I set a goal, like I'm going to run a marathon. But I think the part that you're highlighting here that makes it achievable is when we transfer the inspiration to something that is identity about us. Like we're like, this is who I want to become. And we have ownership in that. So now we've moved it from this spark to this ownership thing. And I think that's really what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And your climactic scene can be as detailed as you want it to be. And it should be very detailed.
Should be.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, the smells and the emotions and, the what your body feels like if you're making a body transformation. Write out that very specific climactic scene. And as you read that every single day, your brain just naturally through that cognitive dissonance is going to want to close that story loop.
Yeah.
And so I would say that setting a couple goals is realistic. And then once you achieve that, set another one. So, personally set a personal goal for yourself, and then maybe set a business goal for yourself as well. The last episode we talked about was a lot of different things you could do with your marketing through clarity, content, and consistency.
Right.
So if you accomplish the goal of getting more customers, for example, how many customers is that? The revenue that brings in would allow you to do what? What you would be able to do for your staff, maybe your staff, by the end of 2019, you want to have X number of dollars in revenue. Yeah. You want to be able to get your staff health insurance. Maybe you want to take your staff on an end of year retreat where you've paid for every single dollar of the entire experience.
Right.
So write out that story very specifically. What is your staff thinking when they're looking at you? How do they feel that you've taken care of them? And it's all because you were able to bring in more dollars through more customers. Now set some attainable goals on a weekly, daily basis of what you need to do to accomplish those things.
Yeah, I like it. I really like this idea that there's, even as you describe it, I can see myself as the more detail I get in the story that I create of my aspirational self, the more I'm like, I can actually in this moment feel the excitement about it. I'm like, oh, that is awesome. I'm actually creating a story in my head as you're talking. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I'm like, I want to do that. And I think this is really good timing with this is airing on Christmas. Like what's cool about this between right now and the new year is like a lot of reflection starts to happen and a lot of inspiration starts to happen. And I think to take that to the next step is what you're saying, like start to create that story. So
yeah, exactly. So let me kind of recap here.
Yeah.
So the plan: 1, create a story for your goal this year. 2, review that plot every day until you become that person. Okay, that's the plan.
Love it.
Now, here's how you want to tell the story. Define who you want to become. 2, define the climactic scene that you will experience. Then 3, define 1 or 2 repeatable actions you need to do every day to become that person.
Yeah.
So you've got the aspirational identity, you've got the climactic scene, consistent behavior 1, consistent behavior 2. Do a couple of those. And then if you're the type that likes to set 6 goals, take the top 2 and then put the remaining 4 on deck. As soon as you accomplish one of those top ones, move one of those on deck into place. In the description on the email that's going to go out related to this episode, I'll put a link to download a PDF.
Perfect.
That's going to be very helpful for you to go on this journey of creating a story for your goals.
Got it. If people listening to this aren't on your email list, what's a great way to get on your email list to receive that?
A great way to get on our email list is just shoot me a quick email at kurt@wdwalrus.com.
Perfect. I love it.
Yeah. And then I'll get you on the list.
Perfect.
If you're listening on the podcast, for example, I'll get you on the list.
Yeah.
And then also you could go to clarifymywebsite.com and schedule a time with me to kind of discuss your marketing. Yeah. or just kind of reach out and say, hey, I'd like to get that PDF. Maybe you're listening, like I said, on the podcast and you haven't gotten the email.
Got it.
And then another way to connect with us, if you're just viewing us on the video that's been linked through the email, is through podcast. And you can find us on Stitcher and on iTunes by searching Well-Dressed Walrus or The Human Side of Marketing.
Perfect. So good. I love this. I'm going to try this year. I like this thought process for goal setting. It's new. I've done a lot of reading on goal setting over the years, and I've never quite heard it this way. So it's a fun way for me to add some new life to my goal setting process. And so this will be fun to check it out. So
great.
Thanks for passing it on, Kurt. Thanks for sharing, and thanks for having the show. It's really awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris. And Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Thanks, Kurt. See ya.